In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. If you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, the show's pretty darn cool, although I am biased because I am Jimmy. JimmyRants.com is the website, and we start off over on Instagram, so we do a couple of live videos every single day. So go follow me on Instagram, at LivingLowCarbMan over at Instagram, and you can follow me there and come in live just like all these amazing people are doing right here, right now. If you missed the live, it's okay. We can let you watch it for up to 24 hours on Instagram, so you can access that there. If you're not the Instagram type, or if you didn't catch it on the replay, it's all good. We got you covered. We throw all the past episodes up on YouTube. So go type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, on YouTube. You will find the show. And again, we have one more way you can listen. And I say listen because it's a podcast. The Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is a joint Jimmy Rants Nutritional Pearls podcast. I do a show on Mondays called the Nutritional Pearls Podcast, nutritionalpearlspodcast.com. And on there, we talk about issues in the world of nutritional health from the perspective of nutritional therapy. And of course, I bring on the lovely one, the talented one, the beautiful one, otherwise known as Mrs. Jimmy. My wife, Christine. Hey, Christine.
Hey.
So Christine is a nutritional therapy practitioner who helps people kind of work through some of the issues that they deal with. You might recall last week we did an episode all about some of the problems that you could run into even when you're doing the best keto diet in the world. So today, Christine, one of the issues that came up last week on that episode was that a lot of keto dieters and really people in general have too low stomach acid. So this Jimmy Rants today, you guys, is about 9 out of 10 people that eat keto, but really any diet. But those of you that eat keto, 9 out of 10 of you have too low a stomach acid. I want to get into the why of that. Why do people have too low a stomach acid? And then how we fix it. So let's start with stomach acid in general. Why is it important in the body?
First, I want to make a distinction because with recent events with my dad, we thought his cancer had returned, but he actually has H. pylori. So, and my sister was wondering, well, the doctor told Dad that his body was very acidic, meaning automatically assuming that it was his stomach that was the problem. Well, there's two different ways that you can have low stomach acid, but the blood pH be too acidic. So it's like two separate things. So with Dad, he's not producing enough stomach acid, which caused the H. pylori. But anyway, so why stomach?
Well, that was an interesting aside. Now we're all thoroughly confused. We'll have to come back to that in a minute. she doesn't know when you do a show, you got to like stay on point. So stomach acid, why is it important in the body?
I had to make the distinction.
Well, we could make that distinction later, but go ahead. Yes, we're married. Yes, we're happily married. Thank you very much.
So yeah, stomach acid is important because it helps, first of all, it's your first line of defense against those bad bugs. That's why, part of the reason why I brought it up.
Is it roaches and ants, that kind of bugs?
No, bacteria, virus, fungi.
H. pylori?
H. pylori is a bad bacteria. And so what happens is if you don't have enough stomach acid, those bad bacteria, virus, whatever, can cause problems in the stomach. Those H. pylori is what causes ulcers. And so for somebody that maybe gets food poisoning, it's because they're probably not producing enough stomach acid. And like I said, the stomach acid is your first line of defense against those things entering the rest of the body. Your stomach acid also helps digest food properly. So the stomach is the main point of digestion for proteins, and in the duodenum it's the main point of digestion for fats. So, but in the stomach, I mean, everything is getting digested further. So the stomach acid, if you're not producing enough stomach acid, that food is just going to sit in your stomach for long periods of time, and those foods are going to start going bad when they enter the rest of the digestive tract. Those things, undigested food particles, can irritate the intestinal lining and then cause increased permeability, which can lead to leaky gut, and which is leaky gut, and then that can lead to autoimmune conditions.
Can you get a plumber to fix that leaky gut?
It takes time.
So, okay, so we see all the purposes that stomach acid play in the body. The question becomes, why are 9 out of 10 people deficient? What specifically has happened? How long has that statistic been true? And if it's only been true, say, the last few decades, what was it about our diet and or lifestyle that changed that made 9 out of 10 of us be deficient in it?
I can't remember the year that it was that these two doctors found this. Jonathan Wright was one doctor, and then George Goodhart was another one. One was a chiropractor and used functional medicine to come up with that statistic. But it's been a while, I mean, and I think as things change in our world, it makes it that much more difficult for our bodies to produce stomach acid. So, I mean, there are a number of things that you don't even think of, like if you drink too much fluid during your meal, like water, that changes the... Yeah.
Maybe you need more water.
Yeah, that can change the pH of your stomach. And so that's why, I mean, I'll drink a little bit with my meal, but I try not to drink a whole lot. The goal is to drink water throughout the day. Sip it.
Right.
And that way, you know, it doesn't change, it doesn't affect the pH of your stomach.
It doesn't dilute the stomach acid.
Right, that's what's happening if you drink a lot during your meal.
I'm a heavy drinker.
Another thing can be, along the same lines, is drinking carbonated beverages. That kind of increases the acidity in your stomach.
Is it all diuretics or just the carbonated ones?
It's mainly, I mean, coffee is very acidic, so that's not carbonated. So, I mean, but orange juice or those juices, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I would think that yes, because a lot of the diuretics are acidic. Tea, not so much, I don't think. But coffee is acidic, so if you drink, it changes the pH of your stomach, and your stomach pH has to be between 1.5 and 3.
So we need to create bulletproof tea.
Bulletproof tea.
Do you guys know the guy that came up with the bulletproof coffee, Dave Asprey? The way he found it was not coffee; it was hot tea. And they put yak butter in it. Yeah. So the original bulletproof coffee was actually yak butter hot tea. Fun fact for the day. All right, so...
Talking about staying focused.
Oh, that was an ancillary to what we were talking about. That adds color to a podcast. See what I did there?
Yeah, whatever.
So 9 out of 10 people, too low stomach acid. Anything else as to contributors to that? Anything in our environment?
Well, I mean, stress in general, it takes away your blood flow from the gut. It takes, it just affects the gut in general, and so stress can affect the pH of the stomach. If you drink alcohol, that's another beverage.
I don't have a drinking problem. I got it nailed.
Alcohol actually shrinks the pumps that release the the stomach acid. So if you drink alcohol, you could have problems with not producing enough stomach acid.
Yeah.
Medicines, if you're taking a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor,
which is for like indigestion and heartburn.
That's obviously going to reduce your stomach acid. Gosh, any things, a poor diet. A poor diet can affect your stomach acid production. There's a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely.
Is that it?
Definitely. I mean, environmental factors. I think we discount stress.
Right. Oh, huge one. Huge one. So, all right. So now that you've had the revelation that 90% of you that are watching this right now, whether you're watching it on Instagram Live or Instagram on replay or on YouTube or listening to it on Nutritional Pearls podcast, wherever you're hearing this information, maybe you're going, okay, 9 out of 10 of us, that means I have too low a stomach acid. Is it like insulin resistance where there's varying levels of stomach acid deficiency, or is it kind of an all or nothing kind of proposition?
Well, like I said, the range for the pH of the stomach should be between 1.5 and 3. So there's a little give and take there. So if you're looking at a scale that's called the pH scale, you have 0 to 14. 0 is pure acidity,
Yep.
and 14 is pure alkalinity. And so, as you can see, 1.5 to 3, that's very low
Yes.
on the pH scale. That's very acidic. So you don't want it being too acidic. That's for a few people that do produce too much stomach acid, but you don't want it going over that 3 because it delays the food being released into the duodenum.
What's the perfect acidity versus alkaline? What's that number that you're looking for?
For your stomach?
Stomach
Yeah,
acid?
1.5 to 3.
Okay. All right. So if you're in that range of 1.5 to 3, then you have sufficient stomach acid. But you're
Yes.
saying most people are below that threshold of even 1.5.
They're on the scale. They're above.
Oh, that's right.
3.
Above 3. Sorry.
Yeah. It's the exact
Brain
opposite of
gets
what
a
you're-
little bit funky monkey, but yes. So the lower, the more acidic, the higher, the
Yes.
more alkaline. And so some people might be in, say, 4
Yeah, yeah.
or even higher.
Yeah,
What's-
to give you a range, your blood pH should be neutral is 7, and so your blood pH should be in a tight window between 7.35 and 7.45.
Okay.
So that's very neutral.
So at what level of alkalinity in the stomach acid does it become extremely dangerous? Do you have any statistics as to if it goes above 5, for example? Because you're almost double alkalinity of what the ideal should be for stomach acid.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, if you're above
3. Right.
then you're going to start to have problems.
So let's talk about some of that, because people might be like, well, I'm watching this. I don't really see any problems. What are the problems that manifest when people have too low a stomach acid? If you're just joining us, 9 out of 10 of you don't have enough stomach acid. So we're exploring why. Now we're looking at how that manifests itself physically in you. So what's that look like?
All sorts of digestive problems. You can have bloating. So I know for me personally, I found that after I ate, I wasn't hungry for long periods of time, and
it wasn't because she was eating lots of fat.
it wasn't for that reason. It was because the food was just sitting in my stomach too long, and again, that undigested food, once finally released into the duodenum, it caused irritation in my intestinal wall, and that's why I struggled with autoimmune conditions.
The leaky gut again.
Yeah, the leaky gut.
So that's one of the big ones, is if the food sits there and doesn't have enough stomach acid to properly digest it, it starts to wreak havoc on your system.
Yeah, so all sorts of digestive problems, bloating, gas, the carbohydrates start to ferment, and that causes gas. It causes an imbalance in your good to bad gut bugs.
Does it harm the good? Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
or the good has to work so hard while the bad are just multiplying like gremlins?
Yeah, it harms the good, but then also, so that gives, when the good are harmed, it gives the bad ones a chance to...
The criminals can run free.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, other problems. You can Oh gosh, I just went blank.
That's all right. So we're talking,
talking.
for those of you that just joined us, we're talking about the manifestation physically in the body of what happens when your stomach acid is too low. And a lot of people think they have too much stomach acid, and we could talk about that here in a second, but too low a stomach acid is the problem.
Yeah.
So how does it manifest itself physically in the body? Because you may not even notice it. And Christine's talking about, well, maybe you eat a meal and you're completely satisfied. And a lot of people that eat keto, they get fooled into thinking that's the fat and the protein combined that's satiating them, but it could be that their body's not dealing properly with the stomach, having enough stomach acid to deal with that food. So you got to be cautious of that. So we're looking at other physical manifestations, and if the food sits there, by the way, it becomes nasty and starts to poke holes into the stomach, and so that leaky gut is where that term comes from, and that causes issues all of its own. So what else?
So nutritional micronutrient deficiencies.
That's easy for you to say.
I know,
Maybe you
right?
have a deficiency in some micronutrient that lets your brain work.
I know, right? I'm married to you. So yeah, if you don't have enough stomach acid, you're not going to be able to properly break down those nutrients. I mean, it's all kind of connected. So if you're not breaking down the food, you're obviously not going to be able to absorb and break down those nutrients properly. And so that in itself leads to a whole host of health problems like depression and all sorts of diseases. And we go into a lot of that in our book, Real Food Keto, in the vitamins and minerals chapter. So if you have that book, or if you want to learn more about that, get
that
book.
book.
Yeah, those are good. We go through each vitamin and mineral and talk about the signs of deficiencies of each of those.
Right. realfoodketo.com, by the way, if you want to access links to stuff about that. So I asked a while ago, why do some people believe that they make too much stomach acid and they're popping all those PPIs and doing all of these things, taking antacids, whatever, because they think that they're having too much stomach acid? I know we've hit on it before, but this always bears repeating, because you start talking about most people, 9 out of 10 people, not making enough stomach acid. People laugh at you and go, "Oh my gosh, tell that to my acid reflux. What's going on?"
One more thing that I just thought of, that not enough stomach acid, you can develop gallbladder problems too, because you're not absorbing the fats that you eat. So that if you're absorbing your fats, then keeps the bile moving. So most people, when they think they have too much stomach acid, they deal with heartburn and acid reflux. So they go to the doctor, and the first thing the doctor does is prescribe a proton pump inhibitor like Nexium or
Prilosec, OTC.
Yeah. So when in reality it's the exact opposite, because it's because you don't have enough stomach acid. So what happens is you eat the food, and then the food sits in the stomach for longer periods of time. Over time, this weakens the cardiac sphincter, which is the opening from the stomach area to the esophagus, and the food comes back up. Even though the acidity of the stomach is not what it should be, it's still too acidic for the esophagus, and it burns the esophagus. And the same way going down. So when the food finally goes into the duodenum, it's very acidic, or it's supposed to be. And so that's when the signal gets sent to the pancreas to release bicarbonates to change the pH of the food content.
Stick with us here. This is getting a little technical, but this is important.
Sorry. It changes the pH of the stomach contents to make it more alkaline, because if it stayed acidic like it is in the stomach like it's supposed to be, it would cause problems in the intestinal wall too.
So when people are taking these medications that, doctors, well-meaning, trying to help, give relief to their patients, giving them antacids, giving them these PPIs, the proton pump inhibitors like Nexium and Prilosec. They're trying to help them. Are they not actually indirectly hurting them because they're making the problem worse, not better?
Well, see, this is why I was so aggravated with my dad's doctors, because the first thing, right after he had his endoscopy, the first thing that they do is prescribe him a proton pump inhibitor, and because of what he's got, that's a clear sign of not enough stomach acid, so they're just making things worse. They're confusing the pH of his blood with the pH of his stomach.
How do you test the pH of the stomach? Like with a needle that goes into the stomach and pulls juice out? Or how do you test the pH?
There's something called the Heidelberg gastrotelemetry test.
Mine was much more painful than what she's saying.
I know, right?
So what's that?
So basically, I've never had it done, but I from what I've read,
Does it go down your throat?
It just involves you swallowing a pill.
With a camera on it?
It sensors on it, and it measures the pH.
I want a
of your
camera. I
stomach.
want to see all that stuff going down.
It measures the pH of your stomach, and it sends those results to your doctor. So it's
Does
very...
it poop out in a couple of days? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we have set the groundwork here. 9 out of 10 people, lucky you guys, most of you guys, have too low a stomach acid. I know you and I both have dealt with this.
Yep.
And so the question becomes, okay, 9 out of 10 of us keto dieters have too low a stomach acid. How in the world do you try to fix that? So are there strategies that you can do, certain foods that you can eat that can boost stomach acid, supplements? Go.
Yeah, there's a bunch you can do. For me, I take digestive enzymes to help ensure that I'm breaking down my food properly. I have not started supplementing with HCl yet. I tried.
Yeah.
And then 4 days after I started taking it, my stomach hurt really bad.
All right, so let's define some terms. So you said HCl stands for hydrochloric acid.
Yep.
It's basically that's stomach acid. It's when you take it, but it was too much for you. So you said you take digestive enzymes. That might be a new term to a lot of people. So what are we talking about?
It's just there are certain enzymes that are produced in the stomach that help break down those foods. If you're deficient in stomach acid, you're probably going to be deficient in those enzymes as well. So that's why they're two separate things. So the hydrochloric acid supplementation is actually you're taking stomach acid in pill form, and that's why it can be dangerous if you have, like for me, I had unknown stomach problems still, and I hurt for 4 days.
Was it ulcers that were going on that got exacerbated?
Yeah, I had tiny little ulcers all over, and I don't have H. pylori, but it just.
No, she has J. Moore.
So
that's a disease in and of itself.
Yeah, but yeah, I had tiny little ulcers all over my my stomach, and so when I was supplementing with the HCl, that was just aggravating those things. So you need to make sure that your stomach, you don't have any stomach issues going on before you start taking that.
So what do people look for if they want to try HCl, they want to try digestive enzymes? Can you just go down to GNC, Vitamin Shop, and buy these things? Or is it something you have to order online or speak to someone like a nutritional therapy practitioner to get?
I would definitely with the HCl, I would work with somebody like a practitioner who could kind of monitor things. Digestive enzymes are very common.
So easy to get.
They're easy to get. The ones that I have access to are very good quality. So
that is the key.
Yeah, they're done through biotics research, and they do things the right way. So you just have to read your labels and make sure they don't put any other fillers in it or anything that might be questionable.
What are they looking for? I'm just trying to put a fine point on this because there will be people that go, all right, I don't know what they're talking about, digestive enzymes.
It'll have okay.
So if I go into GNC or Vitamin Shop, am I looking for something that says digestive enzymes, or will it have some funky monkey name?
Well, some of them have funky monkey names. I was looking online the other day, but it'll indicate on the bottle that it's digestive enzymes.
Digestive enzyme,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, a lot of them have these names that kind of they try to catch your attention with.
Like?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember now.
Give me like one example. What's the one you use? Because it's like a weird one. Betaine HCl.
No,
is one of the HCl ones that you've had. That's the one you tried that was hurting you.
That's the one I tried.
So what's the digestive enzyme you use?
The one that I use because I don't have a gallbladder.
Yes.
It's called Beta Plus.
Beta Plus. Would you read that and go, oh yeah, that's a digestive enzyme? Most people wouldn't. So yeah. So, okay, so it doesn't need to be hard. And definitely, if you want to hire a nutritional therapy practitioner to kind of assess you, they can order those things for you as well. Christine can do that for you. If you go to rebootingyournutrition.com, she can give you an assessment of where you are and see if you need any digestive enzymes. So besides enzymes, digestive enzymes, and HCl, what other things can people do to help heal this low stomach acid?
So you can take, there are certain foods that are good. They all kind of work together to like make sure the bile's flowing.
Are they keto friendly?
Yeah. Well, the ones that we put in our book are. I mean, there's tons more that aren't keto friendly, but the ones that we included in our book, in small amounts, beets are very good for digestion.
That's keto friendly?
They tend to be a little higher in sugar, but I think in small amounts it's okay, especially if you ferment it. There's a drink called beet kvass that's fermented that'll be good for your digestion too, and it'll give you the good gut bugs and stuff. And then something that I try to do, warm lemon water with my meal.
Yes. So what does that do? Adds acidity naturally.
Yeah, and then it gets the bile flowing, and then
we all want that flowing bile.
Yep. Radishes is another good thing. Let's see, Jerusalem artichokes is good for digestion. Garlic is good for digestion. Give you stinky breath too.
What are some of the non-keto foods that are good for digestion?
Well, I've seen anything from certain fruits and fruits like
acidic
apples,
fruits?
Oranges. Those tend to be a little
citrusy,
higher.
yeah,
Citrusy ones.
Grapefruit.
Limes aren't bad, so you could do limes as well, lemon and lime. But yeah, the oranges, anything like that.
Do you eat the rind and all? Does that give lots of acidity? That sounds disgusting.
That is.
My mouth just watered a whole lot thinking about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people would even say, I've seen grains on the list too.
Yeah.
Because of certain nutrients in it.
Yeah, but the trade-off, the trade-off of consuming the greens, no bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno. All right, so that's some of the foods. We talked about the supplements. Are there any lifestyle things you mentioned earlier that stress can lower stomach acid production? So taking a yoga class and taking a chill pill?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Meditate?
Making sure you're getting enough sleep.
What else?
Making sure you're getting enough sleep. So, and this can get down to even limiting your blue light exposure at night.
Yeah.
To make sure you're.
She's talking to herself because she likes to be on her iPad.
Hey, but my iPad has the night shift on it.
Ooh. Her iPad works overtime.
I know, right? So making sure, like when you eat, just stop and be thankful for your food. However you do that, whether it's praying or whatever, just stop and be appreciative of your food. Chew your food thoroughly. A lot of us, Jimmy and I both worked retail when we were younger, and especially around the holiday seasons, we really didn't get a chance to take breaks. If we had a break, especially if you were I was in an assistant manager position, during the holidays, you could just, forget about being able to have a 30-minute break. So I would end up scarfing my food down, not chewing it thoroughly, and that is harder on your digestive system.
Yeah.
So those are the main things.
Okay. All right, so guys, as you can see, this stomach acid issue of being too low is a very real one. 90% of you are dealing with this, but it's not an inevitability that you have to live that way, because getting this optimized might actually enhance your ketogenic lifestyle. And a lot of people are neglecting. These are the kind of things we put in our book, Real Food Keto, that people aren't talking about very prominently in the keto world, which is why we wanted to do that. So getting your stomach acid in order is critical, making sure that you're producing enough of it. Hopefully we've kind of laid the groundwork for what the problem is, how it manifests, and then how you can fix that. I want to see what you guys have to say, though. Welcome in, welcome in.
There was sorry, I just thought of a couple of other things.
Okay.
As far as nutrients, if you find that you are deficient, B6 is really good because B6 and zinc are needed for stomach acid production. And it kind of goes counterintuitive because the main point of digestion for proteins is in the stomach, and if you're deficient in stomach acid, well, you're not going to be able to digest your proteins. But making sure you get enough dietary protein, because here's the order of events. So you have your amino acids; those form peptides or polypeptides. That forms gastrin. Gastrin is what stimulates HCl production, and HCl production stimulates pepsin, which digests your protein. So it's kind of a cycle there. So you do need proteins as well.
So how do you get those, vitamin B what?
B6 and zinc.
B6 and zinc. So do you take those as supplements? Do you get them in the foods you eat? How do you get them?
So I would find that for me, I know I'm deficient in stomach acid, so I actually supplement with those. You can get a B complex that includes the B6, and then I take zinc, by itself too.
Living with Christine gives me a B complex. Just kidding. She's wonderful.
You're funny.
Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah.
You're wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pay you later.
So are there foods that have B6 and zinc in them that people could eat that are keto friendly?
Oh yeah, your organ meats especially are very rich.
Yummy.
And then, green leafy vegetables, fish is something else that's good, and those have good omega-3s as well too. So really, a lot of your keto foods, because they're so nutrient dense, eggs is another good one. Yeah.
But it's kind of a cart before the horse. If you have too low stomach acid and you start eating those foods because they have these things that help boost stomach acid, can the body do anything with it in the meantime, or is that better for people in that situation to go ahead and supplement until it starts producing, then add in those foods?
Yeah, that's why I would suggest supplementing and, taking the digestive enzymes, and if you can tolerate the HCl, once you get everything built back up, then you should be able to just get your what you need from your food. But yeah I have to supplement.
Yeah, we're going to start our own HCl company. We're going to call it Hickle. Get your Hickle, hot, fresh Hickle. All right, so let's see what these guys have to say. Thanks for being here, you guys. Bergitin says, what is the best for helping with stomach acid? This was early on, so she didn't hear us when we were talking about this. Lemon or lime. I think either one probably works just fine for doing that. Alberto wants to know, can the addition of HCl capsules be a problem? The stomach becomes lazy producing HCl because of the exogenous HCl. So he's kind of bringing up the whole, if you're taking it, does your body forget how to use it and make it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and maybe it does.
Kind of like the exogenous ketones question of when you take exogenous ketones, your body doesn't really turn up that ability endogenously to do it. So if you take exogenous HCl, like Alberto's asking, does it turn down the body's natural ability to create HCl?
That's a really good question. And this is why, in my opinion, HCl supplementation should only be for a short period of time, because you need to get things going again.
Yeah.
And
so maybe cycling it in and out, maybe be on it a week, be off it a week.
Yeah.
Kind of reassess how your digestion is doing, yada, yada.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What are the signs that digestion is doing better? The poop looks good?
Yeah, so if you're not digesting your foods properly, especially with the bile and everything, your poop is going to be a different color. It's going to be gray in color, because bile is what gives your urine and the poop its
yellow,
color.
Yeah.
So if you're not, you're not digesting if your poop is kind of a clayish color.
Or black.
If you have undigested food in your poop,
Yeah.
that's a sign you're not digesting it.
We don't eat corn anymore. That's where it used to show
I
up.
know, you're right. If you're constipated, that may be a sign that you're not digesting your food. So look at your poop. You're supposed to have 1 to 2, like, what do you call them, snakes?
2 snakes a day.
Yeah.
That's what we did on Keto Talk. We did a whole poop cast.
Yep.
That's all we talked about. And my co-host on there, Dr. Will Cole, said if you're going to have a healthy digestive system, you should have 2 snakes a day. Because I was like, I'm going to get personal here. I was like, hey, honey, I just pooped a snake. She's like, oh, that's nice, honey.
Yeah. I've been interested to see, how he does with this carnivore experiment.
Keto carnivore.
Yeah, keto carnivore. And he's doing really good. So
yeah, so far so good. Yeah. All right, let's see what else you guys have. Hello, Nova Scotia. Thanks for being here, Derek. Jimmy was one of the first people I started following when I started keto. I also follow his very smart, beautiful wife. Thankful for both of you. Thanks for that, Donnie.
Aww,
appreciate that.
was sweet.
Sorry for my question, but since I started keto, my poop is very dark. We just talked about poop. Any advice? So that's indirect to this question of too low stomach acid, but real quick, anything?
If dark, well, I mean, it depends. Certain foods can change the color. Like if you're eating a lot of leafy greens, you'll see that your poop is kind of more of a greenish, or it's
so it's not necessarily
darker.
A bad thing.
Right. I mean, there are several things that could be going on.
Unless it hurts.
I mean, if you have blood in your stool, old blood in your stool,
it'll be black.
It'll be tarry. It'll be black. But certain foods that you eat can change the color of your stool, so I wouldn't be too worried about it unless you see a pattern, you start experiencing other symptoms.
So I'm going to go on the cauliflower diet because I want to see white poop. Is that going to happen?
I don't know. It might.
Nikki said, I just had gastritis issue, I think from stress. My dog died and I was really upset. It was very painful trying to get back in order with some bone broth. Bone broth is a good...
Oh, yes.
Does that help with stomach acid? You didn't mention anything about bone broth.
I don't know that it helps.
We know it's gut
stomach
healing.
Acid, but it is gut healing.
Yes.
So
indirectly,
it can't hurt you.
indirectly it helps with the stomach acid issues that we've been talking about. Bree wants to know, is there any actual research that supports using apple cider vinegar? Does it help?
That's another one. Yep.
Let me finish the question. Does it help balance? That's another one. Your stomach acid, I've heard it's basically hearsay. I think ACV is probably pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I was just mentioning to my dad when I found out, what he had. I said, Dad, you need to take some apple cider vinegar, like a teaspoon. You can use it on a salad dressing or whatever, but it is something that aids your digestion.
Yes.
And they actually have it in capsule form too. If you can't stand the taste of just drinking it by the teaspoonful, you can get some of those capsules and take one of those with your meal. But yes, apple cider vinegar is very good for digestion.
So Debbie wanted to know how you determine your level of stomach acid or alkaline, blah, blah, blah. And we talked about that. We'll say that test one more time.
It may go by a different name, but the one that I'm familiar with is gastrotelemetry, the Heidelberg gastrotelemetry.
Heidelberg.
Yeah, gastrotelemetry.
So if they ask their doctor, I want to get the Heidelberg gastrotelemetry test, any doctor should be able to do that?
Yeah, they should.
Unless they're turd balls?
Whether they want to or not, that's a different story.
Okay. All right. Welcome in. I got Real Food Keto, so good. Eating it up, no pun intended, said Nikki. Eat it up all you want. It's nutrient dense, I promise you. Does Christine eat keto? Amata says. I've heard people who don't have a gallbladder aren't able to eat keto, unsure how accurate that is. So she does eat keto. Maybe we do we have done a whole Nutritional Pearls podcast all about not having a gallbladder. So go look it up, Amata, nutritionalpearlspodcast.com. We did a whole episode all about this very issue.
That's where those digestive enzymes come into play.
Yes. Such a great topic. Your book was great. Thank you, Bonnie Lene. Wirehead said, I use ACV every single day. Yeah. Bonnie says, at times at night, the acid would literally come up to my mouth. I'd be sitting while I'm sleeping. Is that too little acid?
Yeah.
So we talked about that.
Yeah, basically what's happening is, for most people, the food is sitting in the stomach, and so especially when you lay down, if your cardiac sphincter is kind of weak, it will allow that food to come back up, and that's why doctors say to prop your head up to keep gravity,
Right.
keeping that stuff
So
in
it
your
doesn't
stomach.
fall up to your throat. Yeah.
So that's what's going
it's
on.
gross.
More than likely, it's too little stomach acid that you're dealing with.
And that blows people's minds because they're like,
Yeah.
it's acidic right there.
And that's because even though the pH of your stomach is not what it should be, it's still too acidic for the esophagus, and that's why it burns the esophagus.
Yeah. Kimberly says, poop, LOL. Hey, we're all about that poop,
Yep.
Yeah, baby. All right, guys, so the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants / Nutritional Pearls podcast with the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Christina Wiener, Christine Moore, NTP, is 9 of 10 of us eating keto, or any diet for that matter, we have too low a stomach acid. It can manifest itself. You need to be aware of those signs, and then you need to be proactive about changing the things that cause that too low stomach acid to begin with. It's not an inevitability. Get your stomach acid in line, and you might be surprised just how much better your digestion, your poop, all of that gets when you get your stomach acid where it needs to be. Once again, 1.5 to 3.0 is the goal. Get that test that we just mentioned a moment ago from your doctor so you know where you stand, because you don't know unless you know, right?
This is why I would say if you go to the doctor and your doctor wants to put you on a PPI, proton pump inhibitor,
Ask for this test.
Ask for this test. Say, hey, look, I don't want to take that until I actually know. Do we actually know what the pH of my stomach is? That's why it's so important to ask your doctor for this before you go on anything like that.
Ask your doctor. That's what all the pharmaceutical
I know,
companies
right?
Ask your doctor if XYZ pill is right for you. Ask your doctor if testing for low stomach acid is right for you.
Yeah.
This is a PSA
I know, right?
from LLDLC.com. Well, Christina Wiener, thanks for joining us on this Jimmy Rants / Nutritional Pearls podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And guys, that is it for this Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Thanks for being here today, live on Instagram. All you beautiful people that come in here and engage with the content, go follow me there. If you don't follow me on Instagram, Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live. You can also watch it for up to 24 hours on replay there. We do pop all the old videos over onto YouTube, so go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search on YouTube. You will find the past episodes. We also have a Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast. And when Christine comes on, we're doing this once a week, by the way. Christine is coming on to the Jimmy Rants. We're doing a simulcast Jimmy Rants Nutritional Pearls podcast that will air on Mondays. So this particular episode airs tomorrow on the Nutritional Pearls podcast. So go check that out and subscribe. And all of these links, you guys, is at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.